January the 6th. Sounds. Arguably, the most evocative sounds of January are those of various wildfowl and waders to be heard along the sides of the estuary, for example at Raynham Marshes, barking and cross nests. Of particular note are those of teal, which make short clucking calls to each other. The males are said to bleat and the females utter a nasal quack. Both have similar flight calls which can carry some distance. Rafts of brent geese are always worth listening to. When heard from a distance, they seem to be complaining or muttering to each other with their deep throaty calls. When disturbed, they fly off with more of a chattering sound, and if you are lucky enough to see a vast flock, they are said to roar. There is also the soft whistling of widgeon, as well as the buzzing sounds made by lapwings as they move around in flocks. If you are lucky enough to encounter curlews, listen out for their mournful calls, which are regarded by many as the most haunting sound of all. West Stirrup Marshes is a place to listen for them. The Glastonbury Thorn. Today is 12th night and the end of the Christian festival. In the past, it was actually Christmas Day itself, and a time when the Glastonbury thorn, Crataegus monogyna bliflora, was known to come into flower. Traditionally, the original tree was created from the staff carried by Joseph of Arimathea, which turned into a tree when it was placed in the ground at Glastonbury in Somerset. It was famous for having the miraculous property of flowering twice, once at Christmas, then later in May. Less dramatically, it is a form of our native wild hawthorn, Crataegus monogyna, which occasionally produces more flowers in mild conditions. Sadly, it is rarely encountered in London and is surprisingly absent from churchyards. Bird colour. Feathers have to be in perfect condition in winter to ensure they carry out their important function of insulation. They have an added intensity of colour and an extra gloss this month, which is not going unnoticed by females and is even lustrous enough to catch our eye. Greenfinches appear to have an added flash of yellow as they fly past, and blue tits seem more blue with their heads almost azure. The central chest stripe on male and female great tits stands out more against a brighter yellow background. The male has a distinctly broader stripe than the female. Lapwings also have more contrast to their pied feathers. The white is whiter and the black and greens are more iridescent. Jays seem pinker and green woodpeckers are more vivid green, as well as possessing a brighter scarlet flash. Chaffinches are said to have all the colours of the rainbow except violet. Their breast is red and orange, wingtips yellow, rump green, nape blue, and part of the tail is indigo. Missel thrushes can be separated from song thrushes as the patch of olive green under their wings and the white edges to their tails are now more noticeable. Both have spotted chests, but the spots are larger in the missel thrush and cover more of the throat and cheeks. Some of the migrant song thrushes can now sometimes be picked out as they're slightly darker. Starlings have lost the buff tips to their feathers and have a new glossy iridescence. Their plumage has greens, purples, silver, gold, and their bills may be turning a pale sulphur. The base of the bill in the male has a bluish tinge and is pink in the female. Even their eyes differ. Both are brown, but the female has a pale ring around her iris. From a distance, teal look almost invisible, but close up the drake now has a magnificent chestnut head with an iridescent bottle green eye patch. His eye patch is edged in buff and curves elegantly back to his nape. He also has a vermiculated back and a handsome yellow wedge, edged in black, on his tail. Teal prefer quiet places, which is why we do not see them in our parks, on our park lakes. Instead, we find them at the edges of the Thames in places like Cross Ness, or roosting quietly on our larger reservoirs. When flushed, they rise almost vertically, giving rise to their collective noun of a spring of teal. The flock then hurtles off in a compact group, often turning like a corkscrew as they go.